I just want to make a simple, high-quality animation of what happens if you don't do the bone graft, what happens if you do. And it's solving this need of patients or horrible historians. They're not going to repeat when they get home, and so we want to provide something repeatable for them to go home and play.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Raving Patients Podcast. As you know, I'm your host, Dr. Len Tao. I want to thank the sponsors, both the doc sites and Dental Intelligence, for their support, allowing me to come to the podcasting networks that you use every single week for almost 7 seasons. So today's episode is called Stop Talking, Start Playing. My host is Ryan Morrison from Teamworx Dental. So if you are a dentist or you're in the dental industry, you may want to pay attention to this episode. I've known Ryan for a little bit. We were introduced by a mutual friend. And he has a little product that I think is an amazing addition to the patient education space in the dental industry. And that's where we're going to be focusing a lot of our conversations about. So Dr. Ryan Morrison has been in practice since 2014 and owns his own practice in Omaha, Nebraska. Dr. Morrison started Teamworx Dental in 2022 to improve treatment presentations through quick, easy to understand videos the patient can watch chairside at home. And I've personally used this product and I highly recommend it. I mention it to a lot of the dentists I speak with about another way to use it for patient education. So please welcome to the Raving Patients Podcast, Ryan Morrison. Ryan, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Len.
So why don't you briefly expand on your bio, let people know about kind of your dental journey, how you got into this space in the first place. As you know, and we've spoken many times, I developed a piece of software. I ended up selling it to Bird Eye. And here we are 9+ years later, and Bird Eye is a $100 million company. I'm not an owner, but I work for the company, and I spent a lot of time doing work for them. It allowed me to retire from dentistry, the clinical part of it. But why don't you talk about your journey through dentistry and how you got to this point where you've developed this product?
Absolutely. I graduated as in the bio in 2014. Did an AGD after dental school to get a little more experience, and then, like most recent grads, entered the DSO job space. And so I started with a very large DSO. I moved back to Omaha after my AGD at Marquette and started working there and just kind of got your feet wet. And I was there for that large DSO for almost a year. And then I knew at some point I wanted to own my own practice. I definitely didn't feel that way right out of school or residency, but was with a large DSO and then a smaller DSO. And then I feel like I woke up one morning and I was like, I'm ready. And as I've talked to other owners, and I feel like it's a common part of your journey when it's just kind of like a light switch where it's I feel like I'm ready. And that was about 4 or 5 years ago, and bought my own office from a husband and wife, dentist, and was very fortunate because I had some staff members follow me from other offices, which is very humbling, and been grinding ever since. That was, I kind of joke a lot. I remodeled the whole office as soon as I bought it, and our cone beam got installed on March 1st of 2020. So that was super awesome timing to finish everything. And so that's been interesting since then. But how Teamworx came about was I did some incredible implant training with Dr. Justin Moody at Implant Pathway a few years ago. And it really kind of changed how I look at dentistry overall. And when I came back and started putting what I learned in practice, the most common way to start doing implants is placing bone grafts. And you tell these patients gotta do an extraction and do a bone graft, and they go home and they Google it, YouTube it, talk to their spouse, and they call back the front desk and they're like, you know what? I just want the tooth out. I don't want that bone graft. I'm freaked out. And it started happening a lot, and it was a problem. I was like, you know what? I just want to make a simple, high quality animation of what happens if you don't do the bone graft, what happens if you do. And I wrote the script, did the storyboard, found a team of medical graphic designers to bring it to life. And that was the first video. And I started showing it to patients, and bone graft acceptance went up, and it kind of snowballed into, wow, what about a full arch? What about a sleep apnea? What about a crown procedure metal filling, or root canal procedure through a crown, which is always a hard conversation to have. And so it started to become somewhat of a hobby into a passion. And then we have over 100 videos, but then we also built our own media player, essentially our own YouTube player that could provide a link to text to the patients. You could get a trackable link. And so it's solving this need of Dr. Moody. Justin always jokes like patients are horrible historians and they're not going to repeat when they get home. And so we wanted to provide something repeatable for them to go home and play. And so that's kind of how that all started.
But if you remember, when we first started speaking to each other, it wasn't doing only that. You had other ideas that I think you ended up shifting and focusing on the patient education side, but you had plans for some other things, didn't you?
You're exactly right. And I owe a lot to you with that, because it, just like most dentists do, you come in and you want to solve all problems for your patients. You want to do all procedures. And I kind of took that same philosophy and I wanted to add a ton of other stuff like staff training of videos, compliance, all this stuff. And I'm really glad, Len, that early on you just said, stop. What do you do? And it's, and it was hard to hear. Not gonna lie. It's like, it's not fun to hear. Like, I've worked on all these other things and they're great, but you helped me a lot, just really focusing on what problem do you solve in dentistry.
And it was the same thing when it was like with your elevator speech, like get what's your minute speech on what you do and how you have practices. Because when we first met, it was a little over the board and you needed to focus. And I think it really put you in the right direction.
Big time.
Yeah. So let's, and that's great. I mean, look, I appreciate the fact that you reached out to me. I'm glad I was able to offer assistance. I feel like I'm a mentor to some other people in the similar space. I'm a hard worker. I was very fortunate. I didn't have an engineering background. I didn't want to engineer a product. And we talked yesterday. I told you I wanted to sell a product. And that's what I did, after selling it and releasing it to Bird Eye. So let's talk about, Teamworx. Let's talk about, first off, let's talk about the importance of patient education. One of the things I teach is case acceptance and how to basically get your patients to say yes to treatment. And one of the big things I talk about is patient education, because that's a big piece of that puzzle. You have to educate them properly. And as you know, you're not the only player in the space. You've got Casey, you've got Spear, you've got all these videos. There's a product called DDSGP, which you're using your slider on an iPad. So there's other versions of this type of stuff. But it's really important to educate these patients. So I think you said there's over 100 videos now. It started off with one, which was for bone grafting. So you've obviously come a very long way. But talk about your feeling on the importance of patient education.
We all know that the patient has to hear things multiple times before they really understand it. But picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, a video is probably worth 1,000,000 words, to be honest with you. And so, the important thing about it is, as soon as the patient gets to the car and they're holding this paper treatment plan, you better believe they're YouTubing. That's just what they're doing, or TikToks or whatever. And so they're looking for education, whether they said yes to treatment or not. And I think the importance of video patient education is getting ahead of that in that patient journey of get them on that video same page before they go down the rabbit hole of trying to do their own. And so that, and in addition, any consultant will tell you, even when talking to a patient hears SRP in the back and then hears deep cleaning at the front, and they're like, what? And so having the same repeatable message, not only in text, which we have on our video, but also a video, it gets the staff on the same page, which is everything.
Yeah. And if your staff is on the same page, they can put across the same message to the people that are the patients that are coming in, and it hopefully will allow them to be more comfortable accepting treatment. But, it's funny, you scaling root planing. I still remember a specific example. I had a patient come in and said, I was told I can do scaling root planing, but I'm not having it done. I'm like, well, why not? She goes, well, once I heard what it was, I went online. And of course, if you go online, you become Google as the doctor. For scaling root planing, it goes so many different ways. Like, oh, yeah. like literally,
flaps, everything. Yeah.
Well, of course, but also it's such an easy procedure. We know it's easy as the doctor. You anesthetize the patient, you make sure they're numb, and then you just do a deep cleaning. It's very basic, very simple, but they don't know that. So when they go online, they're saying it's the most painful thing in the world. It's painful because because sometimes some offices don't use anesthesia. They don't use it, let alone at all. Not even correctly. They just don't use it, which doesn't comprehend. I don't comprehend that, but it's supposed to be comfortable. So I find it really interesting. So, yes, I think that to get everybody on the same page, make sure they're not going to Google and reading everything online about a procedure that probably none of it's true, I think is a really big part of it. Now, obviously, you mentioned, obviously there's a lot of different touch points for a patient when they come in the office regarding the patient journey. So talk about where you see Teamworx playing a role in the patient journey through various touch points.
When we started this, we wanted to be at every touch point on that patient journey. And so obviously Chairside, and we make it easy. We have a Google Chrome extension, so you can drop it down and play any video right from Chrome. It's iPad, very easy on the iPad. Chairside is super easy. But the big question is when the patient is not there or new patients. And what we're really proud of is for any office that has a Teamworx account, you can put your own logo on it and you can put the videos on your website. So you put the video on your website with your own logo and it looks like your video. But we also have a call to action feature. And when you put a video on the website, there's a little icon on the top right of the media player of the video that says get in touch. And the office gets to choose which link the patient gets to go to, whether it's patient financing, schedule online, anything. And so that's been very important to us. If a new patient comes to your website, I have a missing tooth, I'm curious of getting it back. Everybody has text for SEO, but do patients read it? No. So the fact that a patient can play a very simple what an implant video is priceless. But then when the patient does leave, we have a copy link feature where you could text to the patient. You can't actually text it through our software. We don't want to reinvent that. We don't want to mess with patient engagement. But we have offices doing is making their top 10 procedure videos that they text patients and make it a template make 10 templates in their texting software to text to the patient, night guard, clear liners. Hey, I'm going to send you a video. You go think about it at home. So it's really about wherever the patient is, we want to be. And that's kind of what we focused on.
Got it. So I think that one of the biggest advantages you have to your product is that it's easy to use, number one. And it's simple as having a Chrome plugin, correct? I mean, that's what we're talking about here. So why don't you, and I do want to make this educational, but I also want to be able to help promote the product. Why don't you talk a little bit about the product? You're not going to show anything, but talk about the way an office would kind of use it. And then send out. And I love what you just said. Look, BirdEye has a text messaging feature. You build the template, you put the link in there to the 10 most popular procedures. You click it and it sends it to the patient in about 2 seconds. So that's a very easy way to implement it. But of course, as you know, there are a ton of other text messaging softwares that you can use, and you didn't want to reinvent the wheel, but there's nothing wrong with them literally just creating templates in these softwares and sending it that way to the patients.
Absolutely. And since we custom built our media player, our own YouTube player, we wanted to kind of work backwards from the hygienist or the assistant. And on that media player, on the bottom next to the timeline, we have little icons, kind of little apps, if you will, where there's the copy link if you want to grab it. If you're we have a oral surgery DSO that obviously does a lot of full arches. And we also have a trackable link feature where you can type the patient's name in, send them a link, and then the office gets an email when they open the video. So if you're doing full arch consults, they schedule for the full arch consult, very expensive procedure. You want to know how serious they are. You can send them a link, a trackable link before they even get to the consult. Every video we also have in Spanish. And so we have a little language icon on the media player that you can toggle between English and Spanish. And then another icon we have on our media player is a PIP, picture in picture. We still want you taking intro photos. Like we're really, we don't want any staff member to change what they're doing. But if you want to take a picture of a broken metal filling and then picture in picture our video right next, or we have a crown procedure metal filling that shows the metal filling breaking and then how we do a crown. And so we wanted to provide a very versatile media player catered towards the dental staff, because we all know the real conversations happen when we leave the room, when the dentist leaves the room. When he or she leaves, that patient looks at the assistant or hygienist and is like, what the heck is this implant? Do I need that? And so that we wanted to be that solution and that touch point for maybe it's not a super confident assistant that doesn't know how to talk about implants. Well, if they're not confident, that patient is done. They're not going to do it. And so we wanted to provide an easy way. And our average video length is a minute. Our longest video is 4 minutes. That's full arch consult. And we were very worried when we made that, honestly, Len, because I was like, geez, that's like a lot. It's a long video. But the research we did with full arch patients, actually, they'll spend 8 minutes on one web page because they're so bought in. They want their smile back. And so we actually did with that oral surgery DSO, they send a bunch of trackable links, 50% open rate of all their patients open our video and watch almost the whole thing because we track it. And so, like you said from the beginning, our onboarding is very easy. We even have a way for you to add your users. You can add your team to the Teamworx and see what videos they're playing. And because we have a favorites bar where you can make your own favorites playlist, and the hygienist has a different favorites playlist than the dentist or the assistant. So we want to make it customizable to each staff member.
Now I'm curious I know you said there's 100 videos. What do you mentioned top 10 list. What are the 10 most popular videos that you see being played in the software?
Clear aligner crowding. We have crowding and spacing on our clear aligner crowded video. We show some gum disease starting. We get all psychological about that. And then we're very high definition. We even show buttons on the teeth, which in my opinion, rarely sometimes gets missed, that the patient wants to do clear aligners and then comes in and, whoa, what are these buttons on my teeth? And so we wanted to really show that. That's really popular. We have night guard bruxism, night guard erosion, crown procedure metal filling is popular, implant bone graft, sleep apnea. We have both. So we have mandibular advancement device, but we also have a tongue release. We have both those, which is very popular with sleep apnea. Full arch consult, super popular. We even have a full arch section that breaks down the journey of the full arch. We have a, cone beam and digital smile design. And we have a 3-option video, which is about a minute long, that shows extraction dentures, extraction bone graft implants later, extraction implants right now teeth. So we really focus on those really difficult conversations. We're never going to have 1,000 videos. There's plenty of platforms out there. Oh my gosh, we have 1,000 videos for you to play from. We will never be that. We will be that very, very difficult conversation to have with a patient. We will be that video.
I'm sure that you are able to, a lot of times they don't necessarily want to use the audio part of it, but they definitely want the graphics. So I'm sure they can hit mute and they can talk over it themselves as well. And they do they discuss their own stuff with the patient. Obviously they won't do that when the patient goes home and watches themselves. But that's the other thing that this is used for. When somebody wants to go home and discuss it with their spouse or they need to think about it, they have this available to them when they're home. So what do you see other than sending a text message after the appointment or, using the communication software, which you talked about? What are the ways are you finding that people are using it at home?
They 100% are those high price procedures. It has a big filling and, usually crown. Usually that's an easy thing to understand. But with crowns, even that's a difficult one. Like they all want a filling. But what I would say is those very difficult, long procedure process, those 2-hour procedures and finances, especially with the state of the world right now. Oh, I got to go home and talk to my wife, or I got to go home and talk to my spouse. And we want you to do that. We don't want to pressure you into scheduling. So please sit down and watch this. Watch this video that we sent you. It's going to help. And that increases acceptance. And so that we're really seeing that. And we're also seeing we track not only when it's shared, but also when it's played on your website. And so we're seeing a lot of website plays. I mean, it's really interesting how many, you spend all these marketing dollars to send people to your website. You want them to stay, you want them to learn, you want them to schedule. And it's amazing how many patients will watch the clear aligner video on your website, the implant video, full arch video, for example. That's what we're really seeing out of the office, what patients are using it for.
So it's interesting to see you mentioned the website. So Obviously, it's important to note that people have to go to your website to be able to see it. So you need the visibility online to get people to actually look at the videos. Have you had any of your clients use them in ways, other marketing ways as well? Because I'm sure there's a tremendous number of ways that you can use this for any type of marketing. There's YouTube. Do you white label the videos for them if they want their practice branding on there? What do you do for them to really use it to market their business itself?
That was a very big philosophy when we started this. Stock footage is you see the same dentist on like 100 websites, and we wanted the videos to feel like it was the office videos. And so, first of all, we offer a free account. You get 4 free videos and you get to see 10 seconds of every video. We want offices to see what it is. But as soon as you become paid, you get to upload your watermark, and your office logo will go on the top left of every video. And with that embed code, we have offices using it on a email campaign. So when your marketing team you can add your marketing team, they can pull the embed code, put it in an email. There's so many things you can do. We're adding a playlist feature that's coming out in the next few months to allow offices to select a playlist that then they can put it on loop in the waiting room. Let's say you want to grow your implants this month, or select all the implant videos and put it on loop. So that's how we're really driving marketing, video marketing, and video SEO is huge. Google rewards you so much for videos on your website, and we want to help with that.
Got it. That's all. That's great. That's great. And I know that you, and I don't know how much you want to talk about this, but I know that you're working with a number of cloud-based platforms to potentially include your product within their software. So are you able to discuss any of that during the podcast, or you're held to NDAs and stuff because of what you're doing with them?
Yeah, we're really excited about next year. We'll have some announcements coming really soon about being in the trenches, if you will, in the operatory. My dental school roommate has a really funny line. He goes, now the difference between easy to get to and impossible to get to in the dental operatory is not much. It's really amazing how you can have the best product ever, and if it's difficult to get to, it just will not use it. So when we started into this, we were making it easy to use with the Google Chrome extension and everything like that. But we knew this would be very powerful if we could put videos into other softwares. And we're working with several cloud-based practice management softwares. We're going to be putting a play button on the chart, on the period chart, in the patient portal. And that's something that hasn't been done yet. We're putting ourselves, and we've all been there, of, the hygiene appointment is 10 minutes behind. Of course, the new patient appointment's behind. Of course, their SRP. Of course, it's all this complex stuff. And we're very excited to be able to provide a stages of gum disease video on a perio chart. And that really saves time and also connects with the patient. We have hygienists right now that run instruments to sterilization. Watch this quick video. I'll be right back. That could save 5-10 minutes of talking. And so we're really excited about next year, because we have an API that any dental software can pull our video library and put it anywhere. And that was a big thing for us that we wanted to do.
And that's why I said at the very beginning, if you're a dentist or someone in the dental industry, you need to be paying attention to this.
Exactly.
Because they have an API that can get you use of this product. So I really thought that was a really great way to expand what you're able to do. Because if you remember in the very, very beginning when we spoke, I said, you're not going to make money selling dentist to dentist. That's going to be such a hard thing to do. I told you that. I still remember that conversation.
Yeah, you did.
I said, you almost have to license technology and get other people using it is what I recommended. And I'm not a shark, but I use my Shark Tank. I watch Shark Tank all the time. I think I actually referred to that when we spoke. You did. And I said, you need to think about Shark Tank and do a licensing play. And I think that's a brilliant way to kind of get the word out about your product. So before we move to another section, which is my lightning round Q&A, is there anything else that you wanted to let people know about Teamworx itself? We'll get your contact information. We'll get how people can use the product. We'll get all the information pretty soon, but I wanted to make sure that we were on the same page with everything else.
Absolutely. And I'm a huge fan of the podcast, huge fan of you, and we want to give the listeners a promo. And so I highly recommend making a free account and checking it out and just seeing our videos and how it works. But if you want it for your office, you can use the code Raving Patients, and it's $50 off a month. So it's $149 a month for $50 off a month for forever. And so that's just one thing I wanted to mention, to make sure we take care of your audience.
Okay. That's great. And I'm sure look, I recommend, I think it's the biggest no-brainer in dentistry right now is to go ahead and try and use something like that. So what I'm going to do is I want to switch gears now. I want to use the last few minutes we have left, to do my Q&A. So these are really easy answers. The rule of thumb is to try to answer them as quickly as possible. I don't need long, drawn out answers here. Okay. So what is your favorite aspect of running a business not related to dentistry?
Being able to bring my creativity to life. That I've always enjoyed, like writing things, writing music, creating things. And that's been fun to see videos come to life of a passion like that. I've really enjoyed that.
Got it. Perfect. If you had the chance to start your career over again, what would you do differently?
In hindsight, probably maybe joining a tech company instead. But at the end, I just spoke at my high school career day, and you can still merge any passion you have with your career too. And so, but if I had to do it over again, that's probably what I would do, I guess.
Okay. What habits have helped make you successful?
Focus. That's, and I go back to our conversation that of like, it's being a dentist, you want to be everything to everybody and please everything. And it's important to learn to say no. And it's, and failing fast, like, taking your difficult feedback and then being like, okay, wow, I think I need to think objectively and focus on what we need to do.
Got it. Who would you love to collaborate with, and what would you love to collaborate on?
I don't know. I just go back. I'm a huge fan of Moody.
That's why I was going to say, what about Moody? I know he's doing a lot with it.
Because he even said, like, when I was in the class, he's like, I've thought about doing something for staff because implants it's a difficult, you learn all this much. So that's, we've talked about doing stuff together. And, so yeah, that's,
okay, cool. Do you keep a journal, and does it help you?
I wish I did more. I do not.
Okay.
I wish I did more, and I probably should.
What have you read online recently that has inspired you?
Recently Charlie Munger passed away, and he's originally from Omaha, Warren Buffett's partner. And, I read like on Twitter, a lot of his philosophies, and that, he had some really, really good one-liners of, if you want an unhappy life, have unrealistic expectations, stuff like that. And it's really just being present and learning to don't have unrealistic expectations, and you may actually be way above them.
This is a tough question. This one coming up. This is one of the hardest ones that people get. If you had to open up a lemonade stand tomorrow, what would you call your stand?
Quick and easy lemon into lemonade. I don't know. Something quick and convenient to get something fast and for what the customer needs, which that's kind of what I would try to do.
You'd have to come up with a name. Okay. All right.
I know.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
That is a tough one, man.
Yeah, that's a tough one. When you were a kid, what was the first thing you wanted to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be an ESPN anchor.
That's good. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. That was a career day in grade school. That's what I wanted to do.
What business-related book has inspired you the most, or what is your favorite book?
The story of Amazon. That's been like a deep dive into Bezos' philosophy of. It's amazing how big that is and how simple it is at the same time. I forgot the name of the book, but it was the origins of Amazon.
Got it. And this is the last question. And it could be business or personal. What is the one subscription you can't live without?
Okay, I have 3-year-old twins and a 4-month-old right now. Probably Disney Plus right now. That's probably that's been very helpful.
It keeps their attention. So normally it's like Salesforce. If it's business, it's Netflix or Amazon Prime or something. So Disney Plus, that's same type of thing. Got it. Perfect. So, and if people have any questions for you, what is the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Our domain is Teamworx, but it's spelled WORX. Teamworxdental.com. We have a contact form on there. You can also email info@teamworxdental.com. But it's great just making a free account and having your staff play with it. That's what I'd recommend.
Perfect. This was fun, Ryan. Thank you so much for joining me today. If guys, I highly recommend you go to Teamworx with an X, TEAMWORX dental.com. Get a free account. If you want, you can then get $50 off a month for using the code Raving Patients. But check it out. See how you like the product. I think it's an amazing piece of software for you to use in your practice. I actually recommend it in my my software seminar I do called Supercharge Your Case Acceptance Using Different Types of Software. This is one of the softwares I use. I want to thank the sponsors again, both the Doc Sites and Dental Intelligence for their support. And again, guys, thanks for listening to me. If you liked it, please share it. Please tell your friends, your family, anybody in the dental industry about it, and also let them know about Teamworx Dental. Until the next time, Ryan, thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll talk to everyone soon.
Len, thank you.